Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert. And I know we've recently introduced Tommy Wildfire Rich as a regular part of the show, but he is out working. He's out making a town this week, Doug.
He was in Philadelphia, and he's on flight back home now.
That's right. So we didn't want to have to try to get Tommy on here while he was on a plane. So we decided we're going to have an interview this week because you guys have a big show coming up Saturday, November the 2nd, probably tomorrow if you're listening to this the day it comes out. Going to be in Clarksville, Arkansas. It's a big pro wrestling legend show featuring Doug, Tommy, also featuring the Grapplers, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, Action Mike Jackson, Miranda Gordy, Brian Spanky Kendrick, Preston Vance from AEW, and a host of others. So we want to welcome our guest here today who is going to be a part of that show, Mr. Len Denton. You know him better as the Grappler.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show, brother. I can't wait to get there Saturday, Clarksville, Arkansas, and see what's going to happen in that ring with Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert now.
Hey, Gene, that's the Grappler #1.
That's true.
Hey, there you go. Don't forget that Grappler. Now, I invented the Grappler, okay?
you ain't kidding. I was telling Gene Lynn about the boot and the cane, and I told him the loaded boot beat many people, right?
Yes, sir, buddy. You know, it's funny. Like Doug, you're probably too young, but back before I was a grappler, you know, there was a guy wrestling, and he wrestled all over. A guy named Don Cornoodle, right? And It's funny, when I got called, I was working for the Crockett's in Mid-Atlantic territory, right? And I've been in the business about 3.5, 4 years, and that's about to break. If you don't get on top back then, you probably need to look for another job, unless you just want to be a job boy the rest of your career. And so I was right at that threshold, you know, and so I was thinking, well, when I finish up here for the Crockett's, I'm going back to Texas, you know, and get a job or do whatever and do something else, you know, and I got a call. I went to the gym. I'm coming through the hotel, get ready to go for the show that night, and I'm walking down the hallway, and a guy named Gene Lewis, I don't know if you guys remember who he was, but he had the door open, Gene Lewis, and he had the phone. He goes, "Hey, Lenny," as I went by, he goes, "Come here. There's a guy on the phone wants to talk to you." And okay, I got on there. It was Buck Robley, and he was booking for Mid-South for Bill Watts. And he just went over there and, you know, started a thing with the Freebirds, and they had things going, and he said, "Hey, we got plenty of furniture movers. We need a top wrestling heel. A guy is a wrestling heel. I heard you're a good heel. You're a good wrestler." So, yeah, he said, "Man, I hear you wear a mask. We want to make the guy a mask guy." He goes, and me and Don Cornoodle had been riding on a trip coming back from a show that night. And I don't know what brought it up. We were just talking, and he said, "You know, one day I want to wear a mask." I said, "Yeah, why is that, Don?" He goes, "Well, I seen you wore it in Atlanta on Channel 17, and you wrestled with a blue mask. You called yourself the Challenger." I said, "Yeah, I only did that so he could beat me in one tape and then come back with a mask, beat me twice in one tape. You get more for his money out of me, you know?" Right. I said, "Yeah, we're laughing about it." And he goes, I said, "Why do you want to wear a mask, Don?" He goes, "I always wanted to for some reason." He goes, I said, "What would you call yourself?" He said, "The Grappler." So we just forgot it, you know, we're going on along. And then, so when Robley asked me, he said, "Hey, I want a mask guy." He said, "What do you call yourself?" I go, it just popped my head. I said, "The Grappler." And that's how it all got started. And Don Cornoodle, ever since then, every time he see me, "You owe me residuals, you asshole." Because I got a good big push, and that's where the Grappler name got started down in Mid-South. They got the loaded boot and all that, you know.
And Len, I mean, you're the North American champion, right?
Yeah. That was back then. That was pretty prestigious belt, you know. Like they used to bring guys in, give them that belt to prime them to go with Blair.
For the
you know, and
champion.
So they would bring guys in, you know, like Tommy Rich. They bring in different guys like that. They were priming for a world title shot and had me go 30, 40 minutes with them, you know, like a week around the loop and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty high class. You know, to have that belt meant a lot to me, and I was glad that Watts gave me a chance to do it. I came in the territory. I was there a month, and now that was Bill's whole plan to make me a wrestling heel. Bill Watts, I have to say, everybody says he's an asshole and all that, and I agree. We went through a lot of there's stories I can tell you. When you go one time, brother, I'm not kidding you. Bill Watts find me in Biloxi, Mississippi. He come walking in the dressing room, and I was laughing at something Tony told me, my partner, and he goes, "That's it." He was all mad about something. He goes, "That's $50, asshole. Yeah, it cost you for laughing in the dressing room." I thought he was kidding. I got my check stub. It said -50 for laughing in the dressing room. I'm not. That's how crazy he could be.
Wow.
But he had a hell of a mind for wrestling. He told me when I came in, he goes, "Here's the thing. You're going to be my wrestling top heel." At the top of the marquee says pro wrestling. It don't say, throwing fire. It don't say, beating guys up with chairs or going through tables. It says wrestling, and that's what your job is. When they buy a ticket, they're going to know they got to see a hell of a wrestling match. I want you to go no less than 30 minutes every night. I was there 2 months. I already lost 30 pounds. He was working me to death, dude. But I believe in what he's saying. That's what they want to see, everything when they buy a ticket. You should give it to them. But,
exactly.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Doug. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
no.
we had your partner on here. About 3 weeks ago, Gene, or 4
Tony?
weeks ago?
Yeah,
Tony?
a few weeks back. We
had
went out of order.
Here.
We had Grappler 2 before we had Grappler 1. But
yeah,
we got everybody.
But the reason being is because they put him in the Memphis Hall of Fame. And
yeah, that's fantastic. I agree. He should be there.
Yeah, I sure agree, and you should be there also. And I think on the next year you will be there. I think.
I hope so, brother. I'd be probably proud to accept that award.
But I mean, as far as for the grapplers and for the Dirty White Boys. But anyway, we'll let Gene go ahead, or yourself go ahead, and Gene's probably got a lot of questions. Gene knows everything about your history. And
yes, sir, buddy. You fire away. Yes, sir. But I want to say one thing. I talked to Tony earlier, right? And he was telling me about some little guy sleeping under our bed, his legs sticking out. Some guy naked. It's pretty bad. I'm rusting you. I'm so old. I'm rusty. Hell, I used to babysit you, kid.
You ain't kidding. Hey, you and Tony both babysitted me.
That's unreal.
I meant to ask Doug and Jackson the weekend of the Hall of Fame when he inducted Tony in if he was going to sleep under Tony's bed that night, just for old time's sake.
There you go.
Usually, most of the times he wouldn't be. I'd be awake because I'd be trying to party all night. But I'm dumbass back in them days.
There you go.
So, as mentioned, you had gotten a great push as a single, as the Grappler, North American title, top title of that territory, had been on top, everywhere you went. But how did you feel when it was suggested to you, like, hey, we're gonna put this mask on somebody else, and when Tony was brought on as the other Grappler?
Well,
were you
I'll be honest with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish.
No, I'm good.
No, I've been asked that a lot, and I honestly, when I was there in Mid-South, when at first Bill come to me and he goes, "What do you think about this kid Anthony?" Which I already knew. Him and Tim Horner came in together, and they were both trained good and they worked good. I mean, they had what they needed to work on top. They just needed, a little more. Go ahead. What's that, Doug?
Hey, Len, they was both trained together and trained good, but Tony was trained better, I believe.
Yeah, no, Tony had. He was already a natural. You could tell his bumps and different things. But he just needed some more. He needed more psychology. He could put it all together. And I didn't know how much tagging he had done before, because there's an art to being in a tag match too. It's different from singles. There's a lot of stuff that goes involved in it to do it in a professional way. And I looked at him, and I knew. Well, here's the way business wise. It didn't really hurt my feelings. It was like this. I went, if I'm going to get a push, it's going to be this way, because Watts, I know the way he thinks. He ain't got room for me as a single no more. He already had somebody else bigger. So if I want a spot on top, I better say yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I went, yeah, you know what? I can take that kid and make him a good tag team. And I went and I gave it a whirl, and he was good. He was good at it. He fit right in. We worked together easy. Yes, sir.
Or if you didn't, you get fined again, right?
Probably get fined for just saying no. I would not doubt it. Okay. With Bill Watts. But Tony was, Tony laughed. He goes, yeah, the first time I rode with you, he said, you gave me a pair of tights and my mask because he didn't have no grappler tights or mask when we were booked as the grapplers. It was too quick. So I loaned him tights. I loaned him a mask. And he said, I'm riding. He said, you need to ride with me. We need to talk about matches coming back and all that, get this tag team together. He said, I got in the car with you, Lenny. He said, hey, first of all, wait, do you drink beer? He said, yeah. He said, okay, that's one priority. Okay, the next priority, you like country music? Yeah. I said, okay. He said, you cranked up George Jones. He said, get going, brother. Let's go. Let's make the town.
That's great.
And that's the way it went. We got to be buddies from men on, and we just gelled and worked together and tried to improve all the time, be a better team,
Man, and y'all still talk every week, Tony tells me. And
oh yeah, talk to him all the time, man.
And man, y'all was so good to me and everything. I mean, like I said,
y'all
my babysitters.
Well, your dad was a hell of a guy. I loved your dad. He's a good guy. I loved your brother. We never had no problems. Everything was, they were all I respect them because they were professionals. What they did. They went to the ring. They was a pro. There were no slouches, brother. There, not in your family. Not one at all. I remember.
Just like you.
Appreciate it, bro.
I asked Tony in that interview. I asked him how critical was it to him, and how much did it mean to him at the time for somebody who had, gotten into the business before him, established a character, got it over, became a star, to kind of hand that over to him and share it. And he said that it was absolutely critical to his career, that it made him, and he credited in a way everything he ever accomplished after that to the fact that you were willing to do that for him and that you took him under your wing. And
no, he was a hell of a kid. He deserved it. A kid. I mean, he deserved it, and he worked hard, and he was right there for me and everything. I tell you, sometimes I feel sorry for him, especially whenever I end up in Kansas City. I got this book. Buck Robley bring us over to Kansas City a few years later. Him and Brody was kind of running things, right, Frank? And right. Me and Frank got along. I mean, we had some stiff ass matches, but that's the way Frank worked with everybody. But then Roby says, "Come on in, we're gonna push you guys as a tag team." I got there in the first week. Brody and Frank left. So left us there. Well, Harley Race's in Japan. Him and Geigo own Kansas City territory, right?
Right.
Harley flew all the way back from Japan for one night. And he come over there and he got me by myself. Say, hey, I want to see if you take the booking job. I'd never booked in my life, right? And so when Harley raced, which I thought Harley Race was the greatest I ever seen, right? In my sport, I told Harley, Harley, it'd be an honor, sir, to be your booker. He went and got goggles and tell Bob what you said. I told him, because you're the booker. He said, I'm flying back. He goes, I'm flying back to Japan tomorrow. When I get back, this territory better be up. I went, oh God, I've never booked in my life, right? So, brother, I'm like, oh my God, when he gets back, he's going to kick the hell out of me. So I got to get this place off his ass. And so, but poor Tony had to drag along with me. I'm the booker. Now, when you're the booker, it sounds great to be the booker and the boss, but all of a sudden, everybody's pointing toward you going, look, here's my idea, and I should be on top, and I should have the belt and be making the most money. Everybody, including the bottom guy at the top. You can't satisfy everybody, and you got to satisfy the Harley Race and Bob Geigel, the people that own the territory. So exactly. It turns into a bunch of headaches, and Tony hung in there all the way through. A few times, almost got his ass whooped over it too.
When Harley Race tells you something, it's got to happen, don't it?
Woo, I'm telling you, brother, he was something with Harley, man.
He sure was. I was in Philadelphia one night, and I'd work, and that's when Harley was managing. Then when he was at the end of his career, and he said, Doug, come over here for a minute. And I'd got color that night. I had to work with Abby that night, and like right outside of Philly. And I leaned. He said, "Come here." And I walked over. I said, "Okay, what, Harley?" And he said, "Lean down." I leaned down. I thought he was going to whisper something to me, and he freaking just punched me right straight. Blood just started coming down, wearing a wrist right, and I thought, "Oh my God!" But I loved Harley.
Hey, let me tell you what. It's kind of a long story, but Harley, I was leaving Kansas City. Okay, after 8 months, I've been there almost a year booking. It was time for me to go, and so me and Tony, we got booked somewhere. I think might have been Southwest Championship, or it might have been back to Memphis. I'm not sure. But so Harley was like back then they had in Kansas City, they had 2 out of 3 fall matches, and I was a heavyweight champion, so I'm going against Harley Race for the belt, 2 out of 3 falls. And between falls, you would come back to the dressing room for like a minute or two, then boom, they ring the bell and you come back. That's the way they had it back the old style, right?
Right.
So now this is Harley Race, okay? You telling me this ain't an old timer. First ball, he goes, all right, he said, I'll catch you somehow. So he went out and he hooked me small package, 1, 2, 3. So I went to the back and said, he ain't telling me the finishes in between. I go, what are we doing now? He goes, well, load that boot and kick me in the head, and the guys will come out, cover me up, and bring me, pin me 1, 2, 3. They'll drag me out of the ring, and then I'll come back for the third. I'll call it out there. I'll catch you somehow. Okay. So when I kicked him with the boot on the second ball, he fell through the rope. Well, no, he fell through the ropes, got counted out, right?
Right.
They cut heads. I see the fake baby faces come out. They got towels to cover him up and take off. And I'm going, what the hell? He ain't supposed to get juiced or nothing. So the bell rings. They count him out. I go back and go on the other side to see Harley, what are we doing for the third ball? And Harley's got the referee guy. They call him Bones. I think a minute. Anyway, old timer, right? Big old hands. He's like, yeah, nail me. And boom, I walk in, he nails him right in the eye, right? And he staggers back about 2 steps. I mean, Sonny Myers was the guy. Sonny nailed him real hard. He went about 2 steps. I'm looking through the door. I would just open the door. I go, damn. And Harley looks in the mirror, he goes, Bones, if you don't bust me open next time, your ass is fired. He goes, wham, he knocked this time juice flew, right? Yeah. He got a towel, he rubbed the shit out of his forehead and all that and everything. He get going, then he goes, okay, ring the bell. Let's go, Lenny. I'll catch you with something out there. I'll call it. I go, Harley, I'm leaving, man. He goes, I don't care. I want him to know get out of the hell of a match. That's the way Harley Race was. And I was leaving the Junkyard. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Well, what did he say? The greatest restaurant on God's green earth, right?
That's right.
Yes, sir, brother. He was something else.
Hey, he was tough.
I'm telling you, he was tough. One time, Doug, me and Tony did a trip in. It was a long trip, it was like in Kansas. I mean, one of the summer days. It's hot, man, and it was an outside show, right, at the fair, and there was an okay crowd, but Geigle, I knew it was a guaranteed show because I worked in the office. They got about $10,000 for that show every year when they did it, and so Geigle was there. But I wrestled like first match. Then I wrestled in a tag with Tony. Then I had to wrestle in the damn battle royal. Okay, so I wrestled 3 times. There wasn't no shower, no hotel. We had to drive all the way back to Kansas City, sweating, stinking, drinking beer. But I'm like, oh man! So the match is over, and Geigle comes up, and I look over and I see he's got his big payoff bag and with him beside him. I go, hey, did okay? So yeah, I did okay. Because hey, if you do me a favor, can you go do an interview? You know, the newscaster for next year wants to cut an interview for the local news for tonight. I go, you want me to wash dishes too, Bob, before I leave? Son of a bitch. He goes, go over there and do this shit. I go, okay. So I'm leaning against the apron like this. Me and Tony, I said, Tony, let me cut this promo. He goes, okay. And the guy comes over to me and says, hey, sir, the news guy goes, hey, man, listen, Grappler, when I hit the call, there's a station like, I'll call you up. And when I hit, this is so-and-so from KP, whatever TV. Can you pick me up like you're going to slam me and turn me toward the camera and we'll go off the air like that? I go, all right, dude. So he opens up the interview like this. Hey, everybody's had a good time at the wrestling match at the fair because everybody knows wrestling's fake. I looked at Tony. I went, yeah. Yeah, he goes, and everybody, and he goes, and he says, yeah, the wrestlers didn't get hurt or the fans didn't hurt. You know, they're out there just having fun, but they put on a great show. This is so-and-so from Cape. I walked in, belly back, and knocked his ass out. Boom. Okay? Tony grabbed him, slapped the hell out of him in the face, and grabbed the mic and said, what'd you call wrestling, boy? Stuck the mic. He grabbed her like about halfway out, right? We got out, went on, just left. Went to the car, and we driving down the road. We're drinking beer, done. We're laughing. Boy, you see it. Boy, Tony, you slapped the hell out of that. Yeah, Lenny, that was a hell of a suplex. And then all of a sudden, it hit me. Whoa, wait a minute. I just lost that show for us. Harley Race is going to kick my ass. And now I got to be at the office at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, right? Harley's going to be here, Bob Geigle. Brother, I went in the office. I had the front room. I had the door cracked just a little bit like that, and I'm praying Harley don't show up, right? Sure as hell, the door slams. I see a person go by, and I see that briefcase, that bullhide briefcase he had. I went, oh, shit. Harley goes just like this. It's God's truth. He's just there. He goes, Denton, get your ass back here. He had the back office, right? I go, oh, hell. So I walked out. I said, Harley, hold on. Before you start kicking my ass, let me explain myself. And Harley's smoking that cigarette, he's squinting at me like this, right? And I go, Harley, hold on a minute. He goes, you better have one hell of an excuse, boy, what you done to that news guy. And I went, Harley, listen, I told him the whole story, and Harley put his cigarette down. He went, next time you need to break his arm or pull his damn eye out, bastard. Good job, Lenny. Good job. I would thank you, God.
I was.
He said, "Good job, Lenny."
I was fixing to say Harley would have probably done more than that to him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I thought he was gonna kill me, and he was all proud of me.
Hey, Lenny, thank goodness it was those days. You sure couldn't do that these days.
Oh, no. Like another time, a guy punched me at ringside, and I hit him, and he took a bump and all that, and he was like up front, and Harley came to the back. They sent me and said, Harley wants you in the office up front. See, we were taught, I know your dad, your brother, you probably taught the same thing. So when I walked in the office with Geigel and that guy sitting in a chair, I just took off like I'm gonna attack the guy. You son of a, and Harley got in between us and all. He goes, hey, and he goes, man, hold on, stop. You get out of here, you'll be barred from wrestler's territory. And they pushed. Harley goes, going back to the dressing room. He said that worked, Lenny. He said the guy gave the guy 2 ringside tickets for next week. He wanted to get his ass out of there before he got his ass whooped. And you ain't think about suing nobody.
That's great.
That's the way we were taught to handle it, yeah.
Exactly. And if anybody, and the same, and we've talked about this before, but like my first territory was for Watts. Eddie was booking down there, and I graduated from high school one day, left the next day, and went to work for Watts. But Watts wowould fine you for anything. And if anybody ever beat you up, you was fired.
You know what I was told, Doug? We were in when I was on top, it's in Mid-South. Me and Dick Murdoch, about redneck Dick Murdoch, we used to run together because we drank beer all the time.
And I traveled with Dickie.
No, you know Dickie then. Yeah, he was, right?
I loved him. I loved Dick Murdoch.
I did too, but he was hardcore. I mean, redneck all the way, boy.
Oh, yeah.
And now Steve Williams and Hacksaw and Terry Gordy, they were the Jack drinkers. Right. They always challenged me and Murdoch and all that. But so Orton Jr. and I think Roop, they went somewhere in Arkansas, was messing around, and all the guys came back that night, but they stayed at some local bar and they got the hell beat out of it by some rednecks, right? That's what brought all that stuff on.
Now, who got beat up?
I think it was I don't know. I think it was Orton Jr. and
Roop, you said?
Roop, yeah. I said,
right?
But anyway, there was like a bunch of guys jumped them. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of times that I traveled with Murdoch, I seen him knock about a dozen people out just right in the bar, and then they would drag them out until us stayed. Yeah,
I heard you. So anyway, they got in a big fight or something happened. So Watts got wind of it, right?
Right.
And so the next weekend, Saturday on TV, he goes like this. He goes, hey, everybody, listen up. And he said, this especially goes to you, Grappler Len Denton. I'm like, what the hell did I do now? He goes, hey, he said, you guys out there fighting people and all this kind of shit. I don't know if they got beat up. I'm just saying they got a big scuffle. You know what I mean? It caused much problem. So they go, he says, hey, if you work for me, and especially if you got a heavyweight belt, he said, hey, Grappler, you got the North American heavyweight title. Right. You got 1/2 the Louisiana heavyweight title. You're the Mississippi heavyweight champion. He said, if you go out there, any of you guys, you get your ass whooped, don't come back to work, you're fired. Especially if you have a belt like you do. And I go, okay, yeah. So the meeting's over, and I go to Murdoch. Murdoch goes, yeah, you better hang in. He also said, Watts also said, especially because you run around with Dickie and the most, I hope he tells us all the time, it's like what happened every night. You better be careful because your job's on the line, boy. And I go, oh, yes, sir. So the meeting's over, and Murdoch's laughing about, you know what, you'll probably end up getting your ass fired. So you know what, Murdoch? If one of them whoops my ass, I'll wear a hood. They don't know who the hell I am anyway. He goes, I stewed you off, you bastard. And he would have too, wouldn't he, Doug? He just stewed me off.
He would have.
Somehow I survived it. Didn't get my ass beat.
Hey, I love Dickie. He was always really good and bad.
You ever heard the story JBL tells about him?
Uh,
JBL Bradshaw, I laughed so hard. I was on their podcast. He goes, me and Murdoch rode together a lot, like me and you, and I did, and you did, right? And he goes, I love him. I'm saying, well, I drank with him every night, about kill me. But he said, Dickie got in the car. Dickie always wanted to drive. With me, he always wanted to drive too. But he goes, he says, he goes, tells him, you drive. He goes, damn, he said, that was weird. He said, so we're driving. We're going to a shot in Oklahoma, right? We're in Texas. He goes, Dickie looking like pale, man, like he's fixing to puke. I said, you want me to pull over? No, don't pull over. Don't pull over. I'm okay. So I asked him a couple of times. He was looking like, damn, he's going to pass out. And finally he said, we crossed the Red River into Oklahoma. He said, pull over. So he got out, puked all over the place. Blah, he got me, said, got back in the car. Said, don't ever throw up in Texas. Okay? That's redneck Dick Murdoch right there, bro.
That sounds just like him.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
So speaking of Mid-South, you were on, I mean, like you said, you were on top. My gosh, you had multiple belts. Bill Watts couldn't have pushed you any harder. You were on some of those big Superdome shows that drew enormous crowds. And, you know, you worked with the Junkyard Dog. And I know people go back and they watch the DVDs and they watch Mid-South on Peacock and everything. But can people really, without being there in this day and age, truly understand and appreciate just how over the Junkyard Dog was? And
God, you know, I'll tell you a story about Junkyard Dog. While I was wrestling in New Orleans, right? And I was sitting in the ring, and it's all, you know, they always sold out back then, you know, and it was just packed. And that, you know, like you hear the Saints, they go, who they say gonna beat those Saints? Yeah. Junkyard Dog started all that, okay? Before the Saints even started winning. But anyhow, they used to say that. Here comes Dog playing his music, you know, and another one bites the dust, and they go, who they say they gonna beat that dog? Who that? And the whole crowd's doing that. I'm standing in the ring, and I told Jack Howell, the referee, I said, Jack, slide down there and tell Dog when he gets here that when he rolls in, I'm going to start this thing with a bang. I'm going to get that chain and beat him up and choke him. Okay. So I seen Dog, he's swinging his chain. He come by. I seen him wink at me. I knew he got the message, right? So when he crawls to the ropes, I jump in, bam, 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 bam. You know, and I'm on him, and I'm choking him with that chain. And I look up, and I see people all diving under their chairs up in the balcony. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And, you know, usually when something like that happens, it's usually like a fight, fist fight in the crowd. And you might as well get a hold and stop what you're doing because nobody's paying attention. And so I got rid of the chain, and the referee took it, and I got him in a reverse chin lock, and I'm sitting there like that, working the hole. Finally, everybody started sitting back down. They're paying attention. So then I called a spot. We went on with the match, right? Good match, everything. So I got back to the back. Now, in New Orleans, they had regular policemen back then. It was pretty rough. They had regular cops for security. When I walked through the double door coming in the back, the one officer said, hey, you need to go thank Officer so-and-so. So he just saved your life. But what are you talking about? So he told me when I went over there, he said, when you jumped Junkyard Dog, he said, I usually go to walk your ringside, me and my partner, then we come back to the back because I want to see how this started. He said, you jumped him, and the guy in the big old long rider coat stood up at ringside, opened up, pulled a 357 Magnum out. We just luckily were standing there, and we got hold of his arm and took him down. He said, brother, you were 4 foot from him. He'd have blew a hole in you so big you'd have been done. That's the way the fans were back in them days. You know what I mean?
Right.
They believed that business, brother.
And that shows how over Dog was and how much heat you had.
They were going to kill me over the sun gun. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, that shows how much heat you had, how over he was.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I mean,
some people can't understand now, you know, that kind of real heat. You can't comprehend it these days.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah. Well, now they put everybody on the inside of the business so well that they don't get to that level. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now you can go to Mexico and different places, some places outside of America, and you can get that kind of heat, but that's some serious heat. You gotta be ready to handle it when it happens.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's what you wanted. I mean,
that's what you wanted. Yeah, you wanted
what I was telling Gene, like me and Eddie work in different territories. You wanted the people to want to kill you.
Yeah, you think about it nowadays.
We didn't want to get killed, but you wanted the people to want to kill you.
Right. You think about it nowadays. People they go, oh man, they did this house, they did this house, they did that house. They're making this kind of money. But I would like to see some of these top workers today in the wrestling business. We made a living off how many tickets we sold. We got a percentage of that money. We didn't get TV revenue. We didn't get none of that. Right. That's how we survived on how many asses went in them seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you think of an instance where maybe, especially during that time, like in Louisiana, where, you know, you saw how a crowd was reacting on any given night and you knew the finish that you guys had planned and thought, this is going to be too hot for this crowd. We may get killed tonight. Where you maybe.
Oh yeah, I've been in many of those, and especially down in Southwest Championship Wrestling too. I was in a lot of them, you know, closer to Mexico, like Harlingen, Texas, and all that. Mm-hmm. I know this finish is going to cause almost a riot. You know, I got in riots in Canada. I got riots in Southwest Texas, and really, really close in Louisiana a bunch of times. But they had pretty good security there. Some of these places don't, but. Yeah, you know, sometimes finishes, it's a hot finish. And, brother, you know what's coming. You know, if you're lucky, you won't have a riot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have an escape plan in place and hope security is going to – because, you know, you hear some stories of back then when people weren't smart that you was in some towns where the cops was mad at the heels for the finish, and they didn't want to protect you because they were mad because you screwed the baby face.
You know, when I went and worked for up in Canada for Stu Hart, brother, he didn't have much security, and then they used to everybody in, you know, they're so used to hockey right up there in Canada. Every guy from the little guy up to the big guy fist fights. I got so many fist fights from Mark. Sure, I was glad to leave the territory because in security, what they do is drag off the loser, whether it's you or the fans. They just stand there and watch. I go, holy shit, dude! Somebody help me here. I just wrestled 30 minutes. I got to fist fight this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was. I mean, as simple as this in Mississippi, police officer. Hell, he come back in the dressing room wanting to fight me. And I thought, I thought you're a police officer, and here you're. And then
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that at all.
Another police officer come back there pulling him back, and I thought, Jesus, what's fixing to happen here? Wow. And I thought, I sure don't need to hit him, but I thought, now he's fixing to hit me.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah,
you had him wound up, brother.
You ain't kidding.
So how do we make the transition to the Dirty White Boys? And what was the inspiration? Was it just that Foreigner song, or where was the genesis?
No, I was, we were the Grapplers in Memphis, which I love. People ask me, where's the place you love the most? Of course, I love Texas because I'm from here, but wrestling-wise, I love to wrestle in Florida because the weather and all that is nice. But Memphis is maybe my favorite place because I just love the style. I love but I loved the way they did TV. I loved everything about the territory, and I just fit in there. And then we're there about a year, and then Eddie Marlin comes up and goes, all right, we're shooting an angle today, a Saturday on TV, Memphis TV said hair versus mask in the Coliseum Monday night with the Bruise Brothers. I go, well, Eddie, which one of them shaving their head? Is it Troy or Porkchop? He goes, hey, that ain't funny. So what do you mean it ain't funny? You think I'm taking my mask off? Who told you I was going to do that? Well, listen, we'll work. So I said, no, I'm not, Eddie, I'm not doing it. I'm telling you right now. Me and Tony worked hard to get this gimmick over, and we can go anywhere. I ain't doing that. He goes, well, he said, just go out and do the promo. We'll talk about it Monday. So I went out there and I did a Harley race. If it takes everything on God's green earth, I'll reach down and in your eye socket, pull your eye, shove it down your throat before you take this mask off my face. I did hardcore as I could do, right? And sure as hell, we get there Monday. He goes, look, Lanny, goes into a four-way. They go for your mask. You roll on your belly and you slide out. We have guys cover you up. And you're gone. Nobody. I said, no, Eddie, I'm not doing it. So he said, well, look, what do you think? I said, I don't care. I'm not pulling the mask off. All right. He goes, well, I guess you ain't got a job in your purse, and give him my check. I went and crossed over, and Tony was already dressed. He was bull crap with the boys. Right? I said, Tony, get dressed. We just got fired. He goes, what? I go, get dressed. We just got fired. And so we had left there, and then it was, I don't know how long it was before that, maybe 8 or 9 months after that or a year. And then Jimmy Hart thought of the angle. He thought of it. He calls me up one day out of the blue. Lenny, I got a hell of an idea. You guys come back. We love the tag team. Y'all a good tag team. We need a good tag team. I told them, bring you guys in as the Dirty White Boys. And we'll do a video and all that. And I go, okay, sounds good to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how it happened. It was all Jimmy Hart's idea.
Now, during that run in 85, go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I'm sorry. And you also done it for Watts, right?
Yeah, after Memphis. We started in Memphis, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then Watts liked the idea, but Watts wanted us to put grease all over us and all, like a micro motorcycle. I said, Bill, if you don't know, that just wasn't me. That wasn't my style. So you can't really portray that on TV, right? Like I can do a mascot and a wrestler because I'm a good wrestler, and all that, and I got some kind of background at it, but being a biker, I mean, I see a guy at the matches come up and say, hey, I got this kind of Harley. I go in the dressing room. I never rode a Harley in my damn life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a good gimmick. I love doing it, but it was not really me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
yeah, it was more Tony than it was me.
In 85, when you guys were the Dirty White Boys, eventually you split off from Jimmy Hart, and you guys become baby faces for a stretch. How did you enjoy being babyface Dirty White Boys?
Man, babyface thing wasn't for us. We're not babyfaces. I got more fight from Marks when I was a babyface than I was the heel half the time. I'm not kidding you. The babyface thing just wasn't my gig. You know what I mean? It just wasn't my gig. Anytime I've ever done it.
Lenny, I don't think it was none of like yours, mine, 80s, none of our gigs. Love being
the baby face? No.
Yeah, all right. Love being heels, yeah. And love calling the matches and just the baby face thing, which me and Jim talked about this before as a couple of stints that me and Eddie both was baby faces here, but I hated it all the time.
Yeah, it's like I just hate that. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. I just can't. I'm like you, Doug. I just can't. I can do it, but I ain't going to get over like Dusty Rhodes or nothing like that, or Hacksaw or nobody. it's just gonna be okay. He's a good guy now.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the funny thing that when they done it with me and Eddie, it got over good, but I just didn't like it. I just it just wasn't.
I go in your character. I know. I'm the same way, man. I'm the same damn way.
Yeah, it doesn't feel natural. I do a review show with Ray Russell from WrestleCopia, and we watched Memphis from '85. And when we got to that, I told him, I was like, babyface dirty white boys just don't feel right to me. Like, it
don't feel right. Yeah. You know what? I was in Portland for a long time. I booked over there, and I've done everything I could do as a heel, and I decided to switch babyface. I switched babyface. It lasted about 2 months. The fans were going, "Put the mask back on. Put the mask." I go, "Shit, they like me back." No kidding.
Now, from the physical aspects of it, now, whether you like heel or babyface or whatever, and I'll pose this to you too, Doug, because you were Dark Patriot. Do you enjoy working under the mask as compared to without the mask, regardless of what the gimmick is, just from not having the freaking mask around your face trying to wrestle in it?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Well, here's the one thing. It's good wrestling without a mask, but it's like people ask me a million times, they say, "Why do you wear a mask?" And this is why. As you can see, I mean, I'm an old sucker now, but I mean, I never was good looking. Here's what made my career, or gave me a chance to work on top. I could wrestle, and I had the body and all that, had the look and everything, and stayed in shape. But I had just a plain face. I wasn't ugly enough to scare nobody, and I wasn't good looking enough to draw women in. But when they put that mask on me, it gave me a character and a loaded boot. Now it's a storyline. Now they got something to get behind and get on or be mad about or whatever. That changed my whole career around. So I like it better with the mask. But you have to know, like Doug knows, wearing a mask, you got to know how to sell with your body. You can't sell things with your face anymore. It's your arms and your body. Some guys can't do it. Some guys are good at it. He's good at it. I can do it. Okay. I'm just saying, with me, the mask fits way better than without the mask, because that gives me an image. Otherwise, like just a plain old guy. Okay, there's nothing that really stands out. He's just a wrestler, and he looks like the guy that sells shoes down the street. You know what I mean?
Hey, Gene, I loved it, and like Len said, you ain't got no facial expressions, so you got to do it with everything else. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I like it doing that, not because I'm hiding from everybody. It just gives me a character in the ring. Besides just Len Denton is like, well, we've seen a million guys look like this sitting in the crowd. You know what I mean?
And I mean, the whole thing is getting that. What's really cool about it, Gene, is getting that character over. And when you're doing your job when you've got that character over and you've got a hood on your face.
You're dang right. You're dang right. Like I know he was taught from his dad and his brother, and like I was, and a lot of guys miss that boat nowadays. He knows how to do promos for certain matches, promos for certain circumstances we're going to do, and how to get different things over. Some of these guys go up and do, if you say it's a cage match, they do the same promo they do if it's a plain match. Exactly. So they don't know all the different things as on a pro level you need to know back then. It's all kind of generic now. You know what I mean? You're
exactly right. Don't you think, Gene?
Oh, absolutely. And to me, a big plus to all that, kind of like what you talked about with Dick Murdoch, is you go back to the Superdome. 1 minute you had a guy out there who was about to blow you away with a 357 because he wanted to kill the Grappler. But if you manage to get back to that dressing room in one piece, you could anonymously walk out through the front door as Len Denton at that point, and you're just another face in the crowd. Nobody knows that you're that guy that they just wanted to kill a few minutes ago. And or if they pull in at the convenience store down the road and you're pumping gas, you're not that guy that just screwed the babyface in the main event. You're just some dude there getting gas, so
it's weird.
Something to that.
It's weird about working in a Superdome like that with all those people. Is like the first time I worked there, like you call a spot, tag will drop down, back drop me, and you're going for an arm drag, and they're still popping 2 bumps behind. Like it's like you got to slow your match down to fit the crowd, because they're yelling about the back drop, and you're already going for an arm drag. And so, whoa! It took a little bit to get that the first time I worked there. It's like.
Lenny, I was telling Gene that the first territory that I worked for was for Watts and Mid-South when it was just fixing to turn to UWF and everything. But I worked Superdome it was like 5 months after I was there, and you talking about nervous and everything. It was just, you get on the golf carts. Remember how they'd put you on the golf carts and they'd have to carry you because it was so big to where you go out at and everything. And I was telling Gene that was just I was so nervous. I about didn't know what to do, but it was just, it was crazy.
Yeah. Something, the first Superdome I made, I was a rookie, right? That's before I ever had a break with Watts. I was, and so they had us there just in case they need us to do something more, told us to be there, right? We made the show and all that, and Watts didn't pay you nothing. You go on your check, it said, you should be proud that you were invited to come to the Superdome show.
Is that right?
As a rookie, didn't pay anything.
Wow.
You had to be on top, have a top match and get paid, Back then, But when I came back, I made it on top, damn it. Finally got paid.
There you go.
So this is going to feel a little random, but this is a guy I'm kind of fascinated with, and I've kind of studied over the years. And he managed you guys, I think, in Southwest. Tell me a little bit about Don Carson.
Don Carson. Well, we went to Southwest for Blanchard, right? We had a hell of a run there. I enjoyed working there too. The only thing was Tully. Sometimes he was such a butthole, but he was hooked on the shit back then, and he was just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He had an ego that wouldn't quit. Now he's supposed to be a preacher. God bless him. but you need to pray for all the stuff he did to me. No, I'm kidding. But he, Tully. The territory was good, and then he decided to put Don Carson. We were working, me and Tony as a tag. We come in. So he put Don Carson with us as a manager. And Don was really, he's old school. I learned a lot from Don. We talked wrestling on the way to the show and back. We traveled together a lot. And I enjoyed having Don as a manager. But then Don decided that I should be a single with him, and just Tony wasn't good enough to be my tag partner. I should be a single and him be my manager. Well, I told Don, we're sitting right at this kitchen table. I said, bullshit. I said, anybody goes, it'll be you, Don. He goes, what? You looked at me, couldn't believe it. I said, man, this kid here is hung with me from Mid-South. He does everything we ask of him. I said, he's good talent. I know he's got a little bit to learn, but hell, no, I ain't. If he goes, I go. And then Don hushed up after that. And then we went ahead and had a pretty good run with him. Totally right toward the end when we left, it got kind of bad. I was in Corpus Christi, and me and Tony had already worked. And, we were trained back then, that if somebody jumps one of the boys, the heels, you got to protect each other, get out there and stop this mess, get you guys back to the dressing room. So I know it was going to be a hot finish on Tully's match on the end. And I'm watching, Tully's coming back, and people all around him, but ain't nobody done nothing. This one big old guy, Mexican guy, he's in the winter, he had a big old, coat on, right? And he takes him, and so I see him getting around him, they're getting too close, and the police can't keep him back, or the security. So I said, Tony, let's go out there and help him get back. So we went out there, right, and we're with him trying to walk with Tony, and Tony sees us come up, right, and he takes a swing at the guy. And the guy ducked, and when he ducked, Tully grabbed his coat and pulled it over his head like they went down his knees. And I come and kick the guy right in the face. I was going to kick him in the head just to get him to leave us alone. Brother, I kicked him with that big old boot. Oh, my God. It knocked his front teeth out, split it all the way up to his eye. Knocked him out cold as a damn wedge, right? So we get Tully and we get back to the back. And then we take a shower, everything. We get paid. I leave and I open the door. Look, he's still laying out there with the medics on the floor. I went, holy shit, we need to get out of here. I hope I didn't kill this damn guy, man. So we leave. We go back to Houston, and so it ends up a big lawsuit, 100-something thousand. Back then, I'm talking 25, 30 years ago, 100-something thousand was lots of money, right? And they sued Tully. The guy sued Tully.
Better Tully than you.
Well, he said the office. He said, Tully, well, I was out there trying to help Tully. And Tully goes, you, man, that's bullshit. You got me $100-something loss. I said, brother, I was trying to help you out. You know, me and Tony were laughing about it in the dressing room. Well, he ran around. He called the attorney and they sent me paperwork on it. And I said, brother, you stooged me off, dude. I'm trying to help you. Anyway, we got a big argument, and then I ended up leaving, give my notice to go to hell with. That was what it's all about. I'll end up leaving, give him 2 weeks notice. We got a big argument about it. Well, before that in Corpus Christi, 4 weeks or 3 weeks in a row after that, he ran me in on the main event on purpose. The fans were sitting there waiting on me, turning, looking for me coming each week. You know, like after the first week, 3 weeks, he was trying to get me, hurt. I know what he's doing. He's trying to see if I can get my ass. I survived somehow. I got lucky. But then I give my notice. I'm out of here, man. I ain't working for this kind of bull crap. But then, I heard Tully's changed a whole lot since then, so I don't know. Life goes on. Thank God I survived it.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah, you're kind of hard pressed to find people who have a lot of fond memories of Tully from that day and time. So.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. Yeah, he was pretty bad back then. He was like Mr. Ego Tully Blanchard at that time. Yeah.
Well, hey, Lenny, was that when Gino was coming in?
Yes, sir. Gino was their right hand man all the time. They were cooking and smoking, baby. What I'm talking about. Oh yeah, they were cooking and smoking when we were.
From what you were around him, if Gino hadn't lived the lifestyle that he did and had lived, do you think Gino would have went on to be as big or bigger star than Tully did in the Carolinas and different places, or you think he just stuck around?
I think that Gino would probably end up in New York. He would have got the big push from Vince because he had all the ties in between with Paul Bosch and all the connections. Yeah, he was a hell of a talent. Now Gino was a good talent.
Yeah, and he had the look. And everything. Yeah.
I think he would have got the push if he'd have hung in there, but he kind of struck me as a type guy. I never had problems with Gino, we always got along, but he struck me as the kind of guy who really didn't care, like he already had something on the side that meant more to him than this anyway.
Well, and I'm sure he did, but yeah. I mean, he, like I said, he had the look, and I mean, he could work. I mean, he was a good worker, right?
He's a good worker, a good talker, excellent interviewer, everything. He had everything it took. Yeah. Yeah. He could make any office money. Yeah, Gino could. Yeah.
Right.
So me and Doug always like to ask people about this territory when we get the chance. And I know you didn't spend a lot of time, but I know you did come in and out there a couple of times with Tony. What memories do you have of working in the Continental Territory?
Well, I went there. They called me up, the Fullers, and I guess Tony kind of instigated this mess. And they was going to hire me as their booker, right? And said, okay, so come in for 2 weeks, check things out, and let's talk business. So I went there and I sat down with the Fullers and I said, okay, I want 700. I think it was 700 a week or something like that to book. And they said, we'll give you 6. I went, no, I want 7. And I was there 2 weeks and we argued for 2 weeks. And finally I left and we never went back. They couldn't over $100. I did the same thing in Puerto Rico. Wow. They wanted to hire me to come in to book there, and I told them I wanted 800, and they wanted to give me 7. And I talked to Brody, and Brody goes, "Don't go less than 8." I said, "Okay," and I didn't go. I never went to Puerto Rico over that. Yeah, he said it's worth. Believe me, when you get here, you'll earn every penny.
I got
you. Yeah.
So, a couple more questions here. I know you worked a lot, inside the business with this man, but you also worked with him outside of, the business. And he's somebody I was always a huge fan of. The couple of times I got a chance to meet him, just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. So I kind of want to hear your take on the man behind the character. Tell me a little bit about Roddy Piper.
Roddy was one of the boys, okay, first of all, but he was a really smart businessman. He was a hell of a talent. And, he was hell of an actor, I mean, not actor, but promo guy. And he was a good actor too, but he had a hell of an ego on him. Okay. But me and him opened a business together and everything. Now being in business with him and the wrestling, me and him we jointly booked Portland for the last 2 years. It was in business together and for Don Owens. And, we had a lot of ups and downs, but he could be an asshole too, believe me. Everybody sees Piper as a great guy. He done some chicken shit stuff to me, but I love Piper like a brother. He's one of the boys, and we always got along. And it's like ups and downs are going to happen when you're with somebody that long. And one thing about Piper that I always love is like me and him. We were one of the last things about a year before he passed away. We were in LA and we did a sci-fi convention because he had that They Live movie out. It's like a big thing to the sci-fi community, and so they get hired to sign on the sci-fi convention. So we were there. We were there about a week on the show, and we're flying from LA to England. We're going to be over there about 6 weeks, and so I had all my stuff with me, and so the show was over in LA, and so we got like one day before we fly out, one night, and the next day we'll fly out. So I get a phone call, and my daughter Brandy, which I lived in Oregon at that time in Portland, and she lived right across the street from us and my wife, and so she calls me, and me and her are real close, and it's her first kid. She goes, Daddy, my water broke. Now I'm in LA, dude. I go, baby, what the hell am I supposed to do? Go get your money? No, Daddy, I want you to come. I want you here, Daddy. And I go, oh shit. I said, okay, I'm coming. I hung up. I went and packed my bags and went over and knocked on Piper's door, and he looks at me and goes, what are you doing? I said, I got to go home. My baby, I told him, he goes, man, boy, he starts raising hell. Son of a bitch, you're supposed to go with me and help me out in England. We ain't going to make no money if you say, I need you to do this and that. I said, Roddy, kiss my ass. And we get in a big old shoving match, and finally he stops. He goes, wait a minute, wait. Lenny, wait a minute. Come here. He hugs me and goes, brother, I'm sorry. Family comes first. I'll take care of your daughter. All of a sudden, just clicked on him, right?
Yeah.
And I go, thanks, Roddy. I love you, man. Got my bag and took off. Yeah, I mean, you stopped right in the middle of shoving each other, fixing to get into it, and he goes, stop and call himself and went, wait a minute. Family comes first, brother. And so that's the way Piper was, that kind of guy.
And Lenny, a lot of that time you saying the last 2 years y'all booked together, y'all was probably around each other as much as y'all was around y'all's own family, right?
Oh, we were, yeah, all the time, man. We're on the road together all the damn time, and yeah, he did some stuff, bad stuff to me, but he was, yeah. And you're around each other all the time, you're gonna have problems with people one way or the other. But overall, Roddy was a good guy. He was just one of the boys. You know what I mean? He had an ego like every wrestler I ever known, except for the grappler, of course.
You're that rare success story that managed to be successful with no ego.
We already heard it, Lenny.
But now, hold on, Lenny. I've also heard you're a good comedian, or do you do stand-up and stuff?
Yeah, well, me and Piper got in that. See, Roddy was doing stand-up at Harvey's Comedy Club, and he wanted me to come and watch it and help him. And he respected my attention to detail and stuff. And he goes, okay, on shows, he goes. And so I was there, and they started booking Piper, and they would put like 2 comedians ahead of him, right, Doug? And they buried. And they would bury him. Piper couldn't. When he come up, it's like anticlimactic. He comes up and ain't even funny. They go, damn, this ain't working, dude. So then I was in the club with Piper. He's rehearsing, and I brought a book to give to the coach, which is Barry Colton, the guy that owns the place that's helping Roddy learn to do this. And he says, he didn't even know. He said, you were a wrestler? I said, yeah, I wrestled along with this idiot up here. He goes, no kidding. So when he went home and read my book, he goes, you're the guy that needs to open up for Piper. And that's how it started. So he started teaching me, and then I loved it. Gives me a reason to be on stage. I can't wrestle no more, so I get back up there and get a payday and have fun, right? And I started doing it, and he said, okay, man. And so we did. I opened up for Mick Foley a few times. I opened up for Jake Roberts. And then I did a little bit. And so the last run was he said, get Prime, because I'm going to call Vince and get us booked all around as many shots as I can. You open up for me, Roddy, right? So he told Coach, get him ready. So I was doing like 15 minutes on Harvey's every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for about 3 months. And they would have their top comedian. I mean, these are guys from Saturday Night Live, dude, coming through here. They'd come here and say, hey, they would kind of give me help for criticism, do this, do that, take away that. So they were teaching, right? And I was learning. So I got ready, and Roddy calls, says, "Hey, is Lenny ready to go?" He goes, "He's ready, brother." So he called me that night at home. He goes, "Hey, coach says you're ready to go, man." I said, "Yes." "Okay, I'm gonna make the call and get this booked as many shots as I can." I said, "Get it done." And he died the next morning. Or he actually died that night. Yeah.
Oh my
Had the
gosh.
heart attack that, yeah.
That's
So that was
awful.
a sad ending, but I still try to do it when I can, different places. If I can get booked, I love doing it. You
Yeah,
know?
well, that's what I was going to ask you if you were still doing it and everything.
Oh yeah, I still do it. I did a couple months ago, but I got one in February. We're doing in Portland. They're going to have me do one. They're having a fan fest and have me do like an hour stand up and then the wrestling matches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I did it one time in Vegas. From the ring in between, like it's Cauliflower Alley thing. It works pretty good. It works like if you go on 30 minutes before the matches start, blah, 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 and then lead into the match. Stuff like that. It's fun to do.
Dang, Gene, me and you need to go see him sometime.
We do. I was going to say, we'd love to have you on again in the future, Lenny,
yeah, no problem. No
talk
problem.
Portland, because we do a whole nother hour or more on just Portland. So much good stuff there. But I'm glad you asked that, Doug, because I was definitely going to bring that up because I did stand-up comedy off and on for like 15 years, and that's my two loves in life is stand-up comedy and pro wrestling. So you bring both of those worlds together.
That's so I can learn a lot from you, brother. I need to get your phone number.
Yeah, man. I wish I could come to I would love to go to that Portland Wrestling Expo. Every time Captain announces somebody, I'm like, man, I wish I could go up there. But I live in Alabama. So cool. It's kind of a big trip for me, but that's going to be great.
That should be. It's the first time, 100th year anniversary of Don Owens' Portland Wrestling. I wish they would get Barry Owens on the show. He's available. I don't know if they can afford him.
Is that Captain's Corner guy doing that, Gene?
Yeah, Nick. Yeah, Nick.
Nick Master.
Nick's a great guy.
He is a good guy. Yeah. Every time I worked for Nick, I made money. I like Nick.
Yeah.
I do too. He's got connections with everybody too, so he's really good. So just before we wrap this up, you did mention your book. I've read a ton of wrestling books, and honestly, I read yours right after it came out. One of my all-time favorite wrestling books I've ever read. I highly recommend it to anybody out there listening to this. I'm sure it's still available on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is.
I highly recommend checking it out. It's a great book, and also highly recommend Saturday, November the 2nd, come to Clarksville, Arkansas at the exhibit building at the fairgrounds. There's going to be a fan fest from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come out, meet the Grappler, meet Doug, Tommy, Chick Donovan, Tony Atlas, Baby Doll, all these great stars. And then there's going to be matches that night at 7 o'clock. So it's going to be a great
event. You better lay some tight, kid. Okay?
I'm going to lay some time. Also, you didn't say the Grappler 3 will be there with Len.
Yeah. This guy's a hell of a guy. He's got an Olympic background. He's a marathon runner. And brother, he can go, okay? So you better watch out now.
Hey, I'm going to have to tell Tommy to start going to the gym, not Jim's Bar.
Yeah, Jim's Bar and Grill. Hey, I'll tell you a little quick one with Tommy. One time he come in, we had a double shot, one in Alexandria for Watts, and then one that night, I think, in Monroe. And Tommy come in, he was hungover, and he was working with me, and Watts told us to go 30 minutes through. And Alex, there wasn't no air, and it's hot. I kept pushing. Finally, Tommy rolls over and pukes right at ringside. He comes back and hooks me for a finish. 1, 2, 3.
Maybe next time we have you on, we'll be able to have Tommy with us. He won't be flying in a plane, and you guys can tell some stories. That'll be a lot of fun.
I had a good time, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
For doing it. It's been great.
Hey, Len, we sure appreciate you being on here with us and everything. And I look forward to seeing you. And everything. And man, like I said, we sure appreciate it. And I mean, there's a million more questions that we could ask you. And
we'll do whenever you want to do it again.
I'm sure me and you rambling, Gene didn't get to ask you what he wanted to ask you, but anyway, like I said, we'd love to have you on again.
Like I said, there's a lot of Portland stuff we can talk about. Maybe we'll have you on closer to time for that Portland Expo, and we'll help promote that to all the listeners.
That sounds great.
That's going to be a great event. We like the captain, so supporting something he's doing, supporting you
Yes.
is always going to be a plus. And yeah, me and Doug's got to get out and see your live show and see you on stage, man, because that sounds
Yes.
That'd be a
tremendous.
blast, brother. If I have to, I wish you guys we could do that sometime. You get a hookup, you want to do it, let me know, man. Okay?
Hey, and are you doing that at the Portland thing, Lynn? Are you
Supposed
doing?
to do it. They're supposed to do it where they do the signing and from 2 or 2 to whatever, and then they're going to empty the room, bring people back that want to come back. They buy a ticket for the whole thing, and then the rest, I think, is the night before. I don't know exactly how Nick's got it set up, but it's just going to be at that show.
When is that, Gene?
That is
February
then,
22nd, right?
yes, February 22nd.
February 22nd. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, man, I'm sure it'll be great.
All right, brother. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Hey, listen, thank you, Lynn.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Peace. We're out.
By the way, if you have an upcoming wrestling show, autograph signing, collector show, Comic Con, or any event or booking, and you would like to inquire about the services of Dangerous Doug Gilbert and or Tommy Wildfire Rich, just send us an email at DougGilbertPodcast@outlook.com, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible to find out more information and do our best to make that happen for you. Also, if you're interested in advertising your event, business, or product to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations, as well as across all our social media platforms, you can also send those inquiries to DougGilbertPodcast@outlook.com. Also, remember to check out DougGilbertPodcast.com. That is where you can find links to all things related to this podcast, as well as to Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. We've added Tommy's links there as well, so you can find them, everything I describe. Right here, the Dangerous Conversations Facebook page, where we post all sorts of great content, almost daily, actually, involving the Gilbert family, as well as Tommy Wildfire Rich. We also have the Dangerous Conversations Twitter, now known as X. We post things there as well. Plus, there's the Dangerous Doug Gilbert Facebook and X pages as well, where you can keep up with everything Doug has coming up, like shows, signings, conventions, you name it. You can keep up with it by following Doug on social media. He appreciates the support, and if you really want to show your support, check out the Gilbert Family Pro Wrestling Tees store, featuring a tremendous array of T-shirts featuring Doug, Eddie, and their father, late great Tommy Gilbert. If you've enjoyed the show you just listened to, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on the platform of your choice. It would really help us in building the podcast for the future. And if you want to see a plethora of matches, promos, and angles featuring all the Gilberts, as well as Tommy Wildfire Rich, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. The link to it is available there at DougGilbertPodcast.com, where you can also find the link to Tommy Rich's Facebook page. You can go and check out a lot about Tommy there, as well as our Dangerous Conversations page. Plus, don't forget, you can find all things related to my popular retro wrestling review podcast at uswapodcast.com. And last, but certainly not least, we are proud to be a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Go on over to WrestleCopia.com to check out all of the great pro wrestling related podcasts and content that our friend Ray Russell provides over there. You'll be glad you did. And we'll see you here next week for more Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.